Hi, this is Bill Hitchcock. It's still March 19th, 2020, and we're continuing doing some kind of special functions in Excel. This one's going to take a look at the and or and not functions and a few other things that we can do with dates and times and things like that. So I'm on the truth table sheet of our workbook, and as we've done before, I'm going to highlight these cells, come over here, shrink down the font size. So when I print all this out, it's going to fit a little bit nicer on my page. Then I'm going to zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. I know I don't always remember to do that. So we've got that set up. And I've got on my spreadsheet, I've got today is, and I've got using the today function. So I type in equals today in two parentheses. It gives me March 19th. You'll notice that this one also has a range name on it. So either just click up in the name box and type it in, or use formulas, create from selection, and you can assign this text to that label. Next to it, I've got title and threshold, and I've got the manager and 70,000. What this is going to help me do is I want to take a look and highlight these different titles in here. So highlight all the managers, for example, or the account reps, or if we have some other title that we put in here. The threshold is going to be their salaries. So we need to get some salaries typed in here. I guess maybe I ought to try to clean that up and add those salaries in there for you, but it won't take us very long to type some of these in. So let's type in some salaries here. We've got 68,750, 49,575, 75,800, 46,795, 45,000, 65,500, and 49,750. So that looks good. I'll take all those salaries. I want to highlight them, give them a dollar format, get rid of the decimal places. We can do that, and I'll use my format painter and format paint the threshold so it looks the same. Alright, so I've got that all set. Alright, next what I want to do is come down. I want to highlight my field names, and as I've said before, I like to use boldface, center, and wrap text. So I've got name, title, hire date, and so on. Right underneath it, I'm going to use view and freeze panes. And right now I must have freeze panes already set, so I unfroze them. I'm going to refreeze them. So if we have a lot more records, we can add that in here and still be able to see the items at the top. Alright, now watch what happens if we change this title up here to account rep. Notice that my field names automatically changed down here. That's because what I did is when I entered in my field names, I made a reference as a formula. So I've got the title, which is this cell here. I use the join operator. We also call it a concatenation operator, that it joined in the words and less than, so that's between the quotes. I did another concatenation, used the text function and converted the 70,000 into a text string that's formatted with a dollar sign. So if we change the threshold to 50,000, notice that my field names changed there as well. So little fancy tricks that you can do. So let's set this back to manager. Set this back to 70,000. And that takes care of our field names. Alright, let's save this. Alright, some other things that we can do. One thing I want to be able to do to kind of highlight anything that I'm searching for up here, for the manager, for example, is we can use conditional formatting. So if I go to Home and choose Conditional Formatting, I want to set up a new rule. I want to format only those cells that contain a cell value that is equal to this cell up here, the manager that I typed in. Notice that it's using an absolute reference, so my formatting is always going to refer to this cell. In this case, it has the word manager in it. So we're going to format that. You can format, the number, the font, the border. I want to format the fill color and just highlight it in yellow and hit OK. And hit OK. So now that it's done that, I'm going to use my format painter. I'm going to format paint all these titles down here. And notice that all the managers show up as yellow. If I change my title to account rep, hit enter, now the account reps are highlighted. If I misspell something or put in a different type of thing, maybe we'll make it, the finance clerk. It doesn't highlight any of those because we don't have anybody that's listed as a finance clerk. So let's change this to manager, and we've got those highlighted. For my threshold, I'm going to do something similar. So let's again go to home. Let's go to conditional formatting. Set up a new rule. I want to format only cells that are, in this case, less than whatever I have in that threshold. So the threshold is in cell E2. We'll format it. And again, choose how you want to format it. I'm going to choose yellow. Hit OK. It doesn't highlight that cell because 70,000 isn't less than itself. It's equal to. But when I use my format painter and format paint all the salaries, notice that all of them show up as being, all but one shows up as being less than 70,000. If we change it to 60,000, you can see how it highlights some of those. If I try less than 48,000, it highlights just a couple of them. So let's put that in. All right, save our work. Now, what I want to do here is I want to identify all those that are either a manager and less than 70,000. So I could use a nested if statement, or we can use an AND function. And my logical condition is that the title is equal to what I entered up here for the title. My second logical function is the salary is less than my threshold. And again, it uses the range names there. If you didn't use range names, you'd have to reference the absolute reference on those cells. Type in a parenthesis, hit enter. It says that that's true. It is a manager with less than 70,000. If we copy this down, this one's false because only the salary matches it. This one is false because only the manager matches it. This one's false, only the salary, only the salary. This one's true because both the manager and salary conditions are true, and we've got that. So there's how we can use an AND function. For this one, you guessed it, we'll use the OR function, same kind of thing. We want to say, is it either the manager equal to our highlighted one, or is the salary less than the threshold? And in this case, actually both of them are true, so that works. Copy this down. It looks like they're all true because one or the other conditions is true. So let's try changing this slightly. Let's try making this 60,000 and see if we get it. There, we're getting them all true. Let's try 50,000. That's still true. Let's try 45,000. And there we get some that are true, some that are false. So here we've got a manager. We've got, that's because they were all managers. The salaries didn't seem to work. Let's see if I can come up with something. Try 47,000. So here we've got an account rep that's making less than 40. Hang on, that shouldn't be. Oh, that's right. This one's false. Neither of those. This one's a manager. Here we've got a couple of account reps that are below the threshold, so that's why they show up as true. All right, finally down here we've got not a manager. We can use the not function, and we can say not the title equal to the title up above. We copy this down, and false, this person is a manager. True, they're an account rep. False, manager. True, true, and so on. So there's a few and or and not functions that you can sometimes run into things that we want to do. Usually we don't care about true or false. What we might want to do is say something like, well, if they're a manager and they're less than a certain threshold, we might say that their raise is going to be X%. And we can do things like that. All right, for the days since hired, what I want to do there is I can just take and use today's date and subtract off their hire date. And then I'm going to format this cell with a comma format and get rid of the decimal points. It tells me that it's been 4,540 days since this person was hired. So I can copy this down. 502 days, so it looks like everybody's been here for more than a year. The work anniversary, I can use a date function on this. So their work anniversary, Adams was hired on October 14th in 2007. So Adams' anniversary is going to be October 14th, 2020. So we can say equals date, parenthesis. The year is the year of today's date. The month is the month of their hire date. And finally, the day uses the day function of their hire date. Parenthesis, parenthesis, hit enter. And we can format this if we want. We'll just leave it as a short date for now. And there we've got everybody's work anniversary. It's all based on year 2020. So if they've had an anniversary or not, what I'll do is I'll check using this if function. If their work anniversary is less than or equal to today's date, then it means that yes, they have had their anniversary. Otherwise, no, they haven't. And we'll copy this down. You might want to use an indent to indent that a little bit. So let's see, March 9th, yes, they have had their anniversary. Here's another one. Somebody had their anniversary on February 18th. And here's one in January. So for the years worked, we've got to do another if function. Equals if they have had their anniversary. So if this equals yes, then what I want to do is I want to take the number of years from today and subtract the number of years from their hire date. So let's see, let's try the year function of today's date and subtract off the year of their hire date. But if it's not, what I'm going to do is take the year of today, subtract off the year of their hire date, and subtract 1 off of that because they haven't had their anniversary yet. So we find out that Adams has worked almost 13 years, 2020 minus 27, but that'll be true in October. So I'm going to use a comma format on this, get rid of the decimals, copy it down. Let's check and see if this looks right. Here, our next employee hired in 2018, but not until November, so that looks all right. Let's find somebody who's had a work anniversary. Let's say 2015, their work anniversary 2025 years. Looks like that's working out. So there's a few different things that you can do on our truth table to help manage your employees.